I stepped onto the overnight train, leaving New Orleans behind, the city shimmering from the afternoon rain. Trains demand patience, and that's precisely why I embraced the journey this time. I lived in a whirlwind, loved with all my heart, and suffered endlessly. I craved a journey that lingered, a gentle unfolding of time. A space filled with light, where the wind whispers and freedom flows. At 39, I find myself recently divorced. No drama, just two souls who lost the art of listening. The old life was tidy yet frigid. The new apartment is cramped but filled with warmth, and my heart alive. It struggles to find meaning in the silence. In the cramped cabin, 2 bunk beds loomed. I tossed my suitcase onto the rack and sank onto the lower bed, ready to lose myself in a book until exhaustion claimed me. Then the door creaked open and I glanced up. A man entered, sleeves rolled, backpack slung with precision. "Hi," he said, his voice deep and gentle, as if treading softly on fragile ground. "I'm Damien Wolfe, up in the upper bunk, if that's all right." "Not at all," I said, forcing a smile. "I'm Elise." That was it. We retreated to our corners, me lost in my book, him cocooned in music, eyes locked on the small window. The train departed, the city fading into the distance, streetlights merging into streaks on the fogged glass. It struck me how long it had been since my heart had softened, just from a quiet moment like this. I stand at the edge of the unknown, yet tonight, I embrace my feelings instead of fleeing from them. I jolted awake in the dark, caught between the train's relentless beat and a gnawing dread in my heart. The dim reading light on the wall flickered, its amber glow a fragile beacon in the darkness. Damien Wolfe lay wide awake. He sat against the wall, laptop shut, clutching a steaming cup of tea. I sat up, heart racing, and grabbed my water bottle. "Are you all right?" His voice shattered the stillness. Soft yet piercing, it found its way to my heart. I nodded, the weight of unspoken words hanging in the air. "I'm slowly adapting to the emptiness of solitude." He held back questions, simply offering, "I've got ginger tea. Want to try?" I paused, then gave a slight nod. He passed the cup, our hands barely grazing, an accidental spark lingering in the air. "Thank you," I whispered, a flicker of a smile breaking through the darkness for the first time in days. We sat in silence, gazing out the window as silver moonlight poured over the distant fields. Few words are enough. The air between us held a secret, heavy with unspoken truths. And then he spoke. "Is this journey for business or simply an escape?" I smiled, sipped my tea, and replied honestly, both, but definitely leaning towards the latter. Damien Wolfe's gaze pierced through me, unyielding. "Absolutely, some paths are not about the destination but about shedding the past." I tilted my head, and that line pierced something tender within me. "Do you often journey solo?" I pleaded. He often said it, yet loneliness doesn't always linger. As I gazed at him, an unexpected warmth enveloped me, a fleeting sense of safety washing over my heart. Not for his politeness, not for his kindness, but because with him I could finally be my true self, free from the weight of perfection. We lingered in silence, 2 strangers in a cramped train cabin, bearing the heavy burden of a profound loneliness. Time slipped away as we sat in silence, the sky deepening to blue. Light from distant towns danced across the window, echoing fleeting memories. Sleep was never spoken of. We stood close, yet the space between us was a fragile barrier, just wide enough to keep our arms apart. Yet that space was gradually closing in, not by motion, but by an unspoken force. Only the deeply lonely can truly see each other. I reached for the thin blanket, my fingers trembling. He gripped the edge of the seat, a fierce determination in his eyes, ready to shield me from danger. Our fingers brushed once more, charged with intention. He stayed, defying my expectations. He remained motionless, a quiet challenge, as if daring me to pull away first. I simply gazed at him. Damien Wolfe's gaze had shifted, no longer the courteous glance of a companion on the journey. His eyes locked onto hers, revealing a truth that was raw and undeniable. It's not the look, but the heartbeat of emotion that ignites. It had been ages since I glimpsed that in anyone's gaze. I barely whispered. I haven't felt truly heard in ages, neither as a mother nor as someone who's okay. Yet, as I truly am. Damien Wolfe remained silent. He turned his gaze to the window where our faint reflection lingered on the glass. He said, "I may not know much, but I believe everyone deserves a moment to be seen for who they truly are. Not for a role, not for others, but just for who they truly are." I faced him softly, and for the first time in ages, my eyes revealed everything I felt. We inched closer, silence thick with unspoken words. In that moment, stories faded away, leaving only the rhythmic clatter of train wheels, two strangers drawn together toward an unnamed, tranquil destination. The train hurtled through the darkness, its relentless clatter echoing like the deep, steady breaths of a slumbering soul. But I was wide awake and I sensed Damien Wolf was too. He sat in silence, yet his body tilted toward me, as if he too questioned where the boundary lay. I grabbed the light jacket draped over the bed, ready to rise, but the train swayed, and I stumbled, just for a moment. Damien Wolf's hand gripped my wrist, warm and firm, an instinctive anchor that lingered longer than necessary. I remained motionless, a hint of awkwardness lingering, yet not from unease. My heartbeat slowed, not from fear, but from the shocking truth that I was letting it happen. My gaze locked onto him. Damien Wolf paused, head tilted, gaze softening, silently asking, "Is this all right?" I stayed still, my gaze locked, and he kissed me softly as if aware that too much pressure could shatter the fragile beauty between us. The kiss was brief, yet it sent shivers through me, not from longing, but as a stark reminder of my existence, of my ability to feel, to embrace my femininity, not merely as a reflection of another's gaze. Silence enveloped us, yet our proximity spoke volumes, binding us tighter than ever. I laid my hand on his, my touch tentative. He responded with a soft squeeze, delicate, as if cradling something precious. That night we leaned into each other, breath syncing with the train's rhythm. After years of strength, we finally softened, if only for a moment. I woke before sunrise, unsure if it was the light or the quiet unrest still curled in my chest from the night before. Damien Wolf lay asleep, body curled, elbow close to his chest, hair tousled. His hand rested near where I had been, not touching, but close enough to remind me of something real, something warm, something fleeting. I rose slowly and entered the cramped cabin bathroom, staring at my reflection. Nothing had changed, same hair, same skin, same eyes. Yet something inside me shifted. I felt softer, as if a part of me, long sealed away, had finally cracked open, not to let anyone else in, but to reveal myself to me. As I returned, Damien Wolf awoke slowly. He didn't rush to break the silence or label the moment we shared. In a voice thick with sleep, he simply said, "Thank you for a night without distance." I smiled back, replying, "Thank you for respecting the line." He nodded, his gaze steady, no regret, no desire to linger. The train began to slow. Seattle Station was less than 30 minutes away. We stood side by side watching the city slowly appear through a thin layer of mist beyond the window. Neither of us said goodbye. Just before we parted ways at the terminal, Damien Wolf turned one final look, steady and sincere. Not every connection needs a conclusion. Some moments just need to be fully lived. I didn't respond, but the answer had already settled quietly inside me. Since last night I returned home that afternoon, the train ride was over and everything that had unfolded inside that small cabin, fleeting as it may have seemed, stayed with me more deeply than any meeting I'd ever had. Not because of a kiss, not because he was someone extraordinary, because what mattered most was that I allowed myself to be real without defense and without self-sacrifice. I'm not telling this story to glorify a fleeting night. I'm telling it to remind us as women of something we often forget, that deep connection doesn't require possession, and that understanding sometimes is about the right moment, not necessarily the right person. Mature intimacy, if it happens, should begin with consent, with being truly heard, and with the freedom to stop when either person is no longer certain. Damien Wolf and I stopped because we understood emotions can be true, but not everything true needs to go further. Some touches don't lead to love, but still heal something inside you. Some encounters don't last, but are enough to remind you that you can still feel, and that in itself is worth holding on to. If this story stirred something within you, feel free to leave a comment and share your thoughts. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to follow more stories, quiet, honest, and deeply human, along this journey of emotional maturity. See you again on the next train, where maybe once more your heart will be heard.